series,
So,
and I do think they can bounce back.
So what you're saying is there'll be a game 5. That's what you're promising? No, I want to promise, Emily.
I don't want to promise anything.
Can you promise it after the draft?
No.
Okay, well, we tried, chat. We tried, okay? Skarner banned away by Anyone's Legend, Rise taken away by GenG. I will say, you talk about the Tarzan and Kyle of it all. I don't think Kyle has had the best series overall. I think he has struggled to really have the impact that you expect from him. Duro in the last game had an absolutely stellar performance overall, so we'll see if Kyle can step up. Have to remember, it is his first international. He's a rookie at this level, and so there are going to be some nerves. There is going to be some tension.
Has obviously played a high amount of high-stakes best-of-5s, and he started off well in that game as well. I think that's really the key thing for me. It's just about maintaining that level throughout the entirety of the series, and kind of on the opposite side was the inverse for Canyon. His early game was nothing to write home about, but then mid-game kind of woke up, and the Vi target selection was a large part of why AL wasn't able to find the team fighters. The respect still going to be paid to Flandre here with that Yorick ban.
Yeah, you really don't want Shanks on this Rise, and you really don't want Flandre on this Yorick, and you really don't want Tarzan on Wukong, honestly. Like, these are all really nice target bans towards things that AL are super comfortable on. On the other side, we see Anyone's Legend recognizing, again, that Skarner pick and the power that Canyon has had on that, and then the Renekton and Jace for Keen as we see the Galio locked in.
First pick Galio, it wasn't on my bingo card for today. Rumble obviously already played in game 1 by Flandre himself, so it's not going to be that top lane counter that you often see. Does really facilitate dive compositions, but then I look at the rest of the picks that have already been removed. It's like, how much dive is left for you? You've got Nocturne gone, Vi's gone, Kaiser's gone. Like, do you have enough tools to really get on the backline, or is it purely going to be a disengaged Galio? GenG now looking towards the Caitlyn, 4-0 here at MSI.
Yeah,
really a curveball here in the draft. Kind of caught off guard. The Galio obviously is still a flex pick, so can go into multiple directions. That Caitlyn, though, not going to go anywhere else here for Rula. And maybe GenG looking to very early set themselves up for a draft where they actually have prio in bot lane, which thus far they haven't really been able to get.
They're definitely going to have prio with with this. Caitlyn Karma is super, super obnoxious to have to go up against, has incredible push, is a really, really easy pushing lane to play around. And in these Caitlyn games we have seen thus far, it's been super successful when we've had either these jungle invades or just when she's been able to take down that turret super, super quickly because of her pushing power. We see the Nico being looked at, or Anyone's Legend.
What this also does is it puts AL in a position where they basically have to pick bot lane, because otherwise you are going to have very little choice into one of the most oppressive 2v2 bot lanes that are available. The fact that this Galio could still theoretically be flexed between top and mid, I think gives them a little bit of leeway, but into Kate Karma, normally this is a strong 2v2, but the range advantage I think is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, the range advantage is huge. We do have the MF coming in. Obviously, Galio and Nico in particular, do have a lot of good setup for the MF. Cassante, the Keen Sante.
Oh boy.
We're going to see it?
I would be shocked if they don't. No reason not to. Man has been an absolute demon on this for, I want to say, like a year and a half now.
How long has Cassante been out? That's how long he's kind of been a demon.
Yeah. Okay, but it's a lot more impressive now, okay? Everyone used to be able to be good at Cassante.
But he was also really good. He was extra good.
He was always also really good. You got me there.
So Keen is going to get the Cassante up towards the top side. I also like it because it deals with a 2v1 pressure quite well, whereas Galio can struggle a little bit with that. Obviously only has the Winds of War to farm up from range and a magic shield, which isn't too powerful into a Caitlyn, unsurprisingly. GenG now looking towards the next ban. Camille is the removal, so they're thinking maybe this Galio is going to go into that mid lane. Camille obviously gives you a lot more backline threat, which they already have from the Nico and from the Galio.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily expect to see that coming out of Flandre, but I mean, it's a great combo, right? Like, it's an absolutely stellar combo. I can potentially see Flandre going for it. This this iteration of Flandre, not as much as prior iterations of Flandre necessarily. We do see the Nidalee taken out, which this has actually been a lot more of a Flandre pick, but it's going to be banned out on the blue side by AL, and then we see the respect being paid to Tarzan's Zed with the Zed removed by Genji.
Both junglers, I think, really getting the respect they deserve here. Canyon's Nidalee is... Well, he has a world skin on it for a reason, has just remained in his wheelhouse for the longest amount of time. I'm wondering if we're going to see the Lee ban to come through here after the game. He had on it before. Also means that, yep, there we go. Yep. It also means that Chovy will be not really hamstrung in what he picks here. If they want to go on R4, my expectation is they're going to pick a jungle pick for Canyon here and then save that counter pick for Chovy as we get towards the end of this draft.
Definitely makes the most sense to give Chovy a little bit of extra time. Kha'Zix is the hover currently for Canyon.
Another Canyon special.
Yeah, they brought it out against Xin Zhao, I remember. Was it last year? But instead, actually looks like they're saving jungle for last. Silas locked in for Genji. A couple of great ultimates to steal away. Bullet time, Pop Blossom, even the hero's entrance, very powerful. Anyone's Legend now rotating through their mid lane picks and obviously have, well, either top or mid and jungle left to lock in.
Yeah, and we'll see where those picks end up going. So we're going to see the Smolder coming through, which is really interesting.
That's a poetic justice there from Shanks. Picking the Smolder into the melee matchup in mid, something that Chovy also relied upon last year at Worlds. Very memorable game. Was able to then build an absolute monstrous lead very early on. We're going to see if Shanks is going to be able to replicate that with his performance thus far. I do think that the expectations are definitely high, and the stacking is always going to be a big threat, as there is a Jarvan here for Tarzan.
That AoE is gross. Yeah. Like, that is such good lockdown. AoE CC into AoE damage. Genji now looking towards jungle. Duro hovering the Talon, which would be a little bit of a shocker, I'll be honest, but does farm really well, has good ganks as well, and when you have lanes that are going to push, like this Caitlyn and Karma, you can play around them. Neferi instead, a different AD jungler, only won one game so far out of 5 here at MSI.
Yeah, I mean, we're full. Came in, he was playing the Kassadin as well in the top lane, which I remember from him when he was on Snake. And now I will shut up about Flandre.
No, I want to continue about Flandre. Do you like it now? Right here, right now in this series with the performance we've seen thus far? Because that's where I'd be worried. I think that on a Galio, it's so much easier to have a baseline level of efficiency. And even though I can see how this matchup will work, you just get to stack for free. Cassante really shouldn't be able to touch you at all. The execution mid to late game, definitely a lot more finesse.
It's going to be really tough. You need to make sure your positioning is absolutely on point, and there's always the risk of getting 2v1'd in a lane swap, right? If your tempo is off, it's hard for Flandre to survive to a Karma and a Caitlyn pushing into him as we get into game 4. Anyone's Legends will defend their own jungle. You saw early wards coming out from Genji down towards that bottom side, just trying to gain control, and this ward will be cleared out as Chovy placed it right in front of Anyone's Legend. I see Canyon up towards his top side. He's going to path down towards bot. He's now tied 8th for the most ever international wins at 94. He's passed Peanut, and he is tied with Ming. Obviously, will overtake Ming if he wins this game, which is very impressive overall from the Genji jungler.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm super curious to see this from Flandre. Like, this is to me, in terms of like play style and thought, vintage Flandre, right? And it might not work, but I'm excited and kind of happy to see it, you know? We'll see how well he does in this lane, but like the other thing I do want to point out, so people don't think I'm ragging on him, I think Flandre is actually so smart about the game, right? And so we'll see what he's able to do on the Smolder pick.
Emily, I don't think anyone doubts your love for Flandre.
I don't think anyone does at this point either. They probably just want me to shut up about it.
I do want to... No. I'm not going to get away with that. I do want to highlight, I think it's testament to AL as a team, right? And Tabe as a coach, that despite the series he's at thus far, he's still getting the counter pick. Yep. He's still getting the opportunity to showcase what he can do, as we see here in the tri-lane view. A lot of early trading.
Shanks is level 3 already. Canyon's coming across though after doing 3 camps. Shanks has the Justice Punch. So he can escape Canyon's clutches if he wishes. We'll get the push in and then just get a cheater recall off as Chovy farms underneath his tower. So early push from Hope and Kyle as well. They were able to land some damage on Ruler and Juro, which forced them back a little bit. You can see Juro and Kyle have both used their heals already down towards that bottom side. No unsealed spellbooks in the game. So we are just going to stick with our normal summoner spells for this matchup.
But we do have to keep track of who's who with this Nico.
Well, that's true. That is true.
But yeah, obviously with Hope having to back, Juro and Ruler taking full control over the push in this lane, this can be such an oppressive lane.
If you are ever confused, by the way, because the spectator client says AL Hope, the one that's a little shinier is the Nico. I know that's a little bit hard to see sometimes, but that's the easiest way to see it. You can see the bottom Hope there, just a little bit more glistening than the top Hope, yeah.
They do look distinctly different.
Yeah.
I will still get fooled by it.
I'm gonna mess it up at least
times.
once in this game.
As right now, early laning phase is not looking too crazy anywhere. The only setup of runes I do want to highlight is that Chovy has gone in a melee versus melee matchup for Grasp. We also have Keen going for Aftershock, which obviously in a matchup where you're just not going to be able to stack Grasp, not going to get a lot of value out of that. So instead just going for the rune where the baseline value, whenever you're Chenky, still going to be very high.
And Flandra has had control over this lane. This is kind of the matchup, right? And one of the reasons why you would end up picking this Smolder into the Cassante. So thus far, having Prio in that lane for AL. And just a lot of attention, honestly, being paid to the mid lane. I guess as expected, both junglers kind of pathing through, checking in on their mids, but this Galio generally having push.
I want to highlight though, Keen I think is trading as much as he can. The lane swap has already been executed by GENG, so he's going to be able to keep the wave here, ensure that his bot lane can catch it. They are losing a decent amount of minions towards the bot side of the lane here, so Keen is going to first have to base, then TP, so that is a full wave being gone. And it looks like L should also be able to respond. We'll see if Ruler can get the cancel onto Flandre. That would be huge, but doesn't look like it's going to be the case.
That's a lot of minions lost down towards that bottom side for Keen and for GENG. A 10 CS lead for Flandre up towards that top side. Ruler slightly ahead as well. It's to be expected. Caitlyn Karma does just control the lane really well. The extra range and the poke potential from them means that it's going to be hard for Hope and Kyle to stay on an even keel in terms of CS numbers at least.
It's also Keen after 2 carry performance, like, okay, stay in the lane a little bit longer, drop that wave. Ruler needs his lane positioned in a spot that works, and it makes sense. You are playing with this comp for this Karma as well as this Caitlyn. Tarzan's on his way toward that lane as well.
We also do see that Canyon has first rotation and very early control of this Drake, so GENG will be picking that up very, very early on in this game. Start that Drake stacking super early, right off of that lane swap.
Tarzan still here.
Snuck behind them. Duro and Ruler, though, should be able to walk away. Good route onto Duro means that Tarzan can just wait out the flag and drag combo. Duro the first to fall. Tarzan looks for a little bit more, but can't quite catch out Ruler.
Nice. Tarzan's patience pays off in that top side. Trading, knowing who is on the bot side. GENG taking down that first Drake again. So again, nice little cross map play coming out of AL.
And there, Duro, good call not using the flash, was definitely dead, but it was the knowledge that you know Tarzan's going to stick around. He's not, doesn't have anything to do on the other end of the map. You just got the dragon, and we can see lack of vision as Tarzan continues to move around. He was the one that picked up that kill. I think that's the only, if it's possible to give it to one of your bot laners, particularly in a tough 2v2 this tough, it would have been good.
Ooh, Flandre has to flash away from the Intofos.
Yep, and this is a little bit where it could start getting dangerous, right? With with the Cassante, level 6 now, the power that brings to his kit, it will be, you know, Flandre's gonna have to watch himself a little bit more now.
I wonder if we'll see Tarzan going down towards that bottom side.
As we do.
Yeah, there he is. He was just finished his clear, has a red buff up in a couple of seconds time, so he's just going to clear out the ward in the Tribush. Grub's up in 30 seconds. Both the top laners, well, only one of the top laners actually with TP, it's Flandre. So if they do want to fight around it, AL will have a slight advantage.
Yeah, AL should have a really good setup, right? Like they have good vision. Even with this bot lane from GenG pushing in, they were actually able to get mid lane prio off of this, and the Galio is headed topside as well.
Yes, we do have Keen not having his teleport available. Flandre does have his Smolder this early on, especially with only Swifties. I think most of the value just in the ultimate, so it would not seem super likely that he's going to make his way over unless GenG really hard contest. Early objective would be good though, because as noted, GenG did pick up a very early Drake, and even a single grub, I think they'll be happy with him because of the topside prior that they got. I think getting one should be doable.
Kyle, who is this hope here, is level 6. So he has the Pop Blossom if he wants to go for the fight. Switches into Tarzan, flag and drag in. There's a Hero's Entrance as well as they look for Ruler. There's the Pop Blossom from Kyle across the wall immediately. Canyon able to dodge away from it with a Hound's Pursuit, though. Ruler forced up towards the top side. One grub already secured for anyone's Legend. They'll take the second, and they will take the third alongside it.
I jokingly called this circle gaming, but that's exactly what you want, right? Like the setup.
Chovy going in onto Hope, immediately dashing forward. The Pop Blossom stolen away. Hope has to flash. Kyle will fall for it though.
And it feels like a repeat of the play that AL found against GenG in game number 1. The initial play looks good. Yes, they are able to deny GenG the ability to steal away one of the grubs. They force summoners out of both Canyon as well as Ruler, and the initial play looks good, but GenG find the punish on the exit.
And this is exactly what I like to see from these two teams, right? Like going back and forth as Tarzan goes in on to Ruler. He gets out, thinks he gets out, but then Kyle is there, and then he has to flash out of the backside. And then as we see them cleaning up these 3 grubs, Flandre might be in trouble.
Doesn't have flash, remember. Joe's going to look for the chains. TP coming in. Mom called. The ace in the hole won't be enough to kill off the Smolder. So this TP is just going to be able to defend the push in from GenG.
TP from Shanks means that Flandre stays safe, but they are keeping this Smolder on the back foot. It's going to have to be another TP invested from Fly towards the top side, which means that GenG, when this next dragon spawns in about a minute, will have a summoner's advantage. Obviously, Flandre not having a way to stop Keen's TP. And if GenG can, at what will be like 11 minutes, already get to a 2 Drake lead, AL might be forced in some fights that, particularly with a Smolder, you don't necessarily want to take.
Yeah, GenG could have some really good setups with AL kind of waiting for that Smolder to fully stack, to fully come online. Taking that early Drake was actually crucial for them because it does force AL to note the timers. Like that was, I believe, the earliest Drake we've seen taken in this series. Yeah. So yeah, really, really nice setup for GenG if they can get vision down there and kind of force AL to either give it up, which starts their Drake stacking really, really early, or force AL to fight when they might not have proper itemization or Smolder stacks.
Yeah, something you can do when you have an AD carry that is in such a dominant position in the 2v2, right? Like Hope is at 82 CS to Ruler's 114. That is essentially 5 waves of minions that Ruler has been able to pick up in this early game that Hope hasn't had access to. He's on his way towards the Collector, has the serrated Dirk and a pickaxe right now.
Good use of the phase rush there from Shanks, using the ability to dodge out of Chovy's counter trade. We have Chovy sitting on the components, but not yet his Rod of Ages finished. Canyon, though, he is sitting on that Shojin, and even though Tarzan is still decently ahead, they're both at 1 item spikes, both sitting on boots, and Neferi in these fights, if not dealt with, can really take over with the reset.
And we see Chovy TPing down to this bot side. Keen's TP is up while Flandre's is down for this Drake fight. So Keen can join,
Poke.
while Flandre can't, and they're just taking so much damage.
The ace in the hole took about half of Kyle's HP as anyone's Legend do try and wrest some control over this river. The Smolder moving down from top because he doesn't have that teleport. Keen can continue to push in, maybe get a plate for himself in this small window.
But now you see GenG immediately peel off. They don't need to do anything because Keen is going to be pushing this wave in top. Chovy's just pushing the wave in bot. For GenG, it's fine to slow play this.
And this is exactly what we were talking about. This is the power that getting that super early Drake gave them, and then potentially forcing AL to kind of choose whether they want to contest this at potentially a disadvantageous spot.
Look at that ward, the TP.
TP immediately. AL will back away. They know they can't do anything here. as the the taunt, sorry, is going to go on to Chovy. Kyle forced out the all-out on Hope. It's Hope that he's got. I thought it was the shape splitter, but Keen finds the all-out that he wanted, and Hope goes down.
And that's a big mistake from Hope. I'd love to see, again, a little bit more of the setup on that. Just looked like he was caught out of position in the mid lane as they were backing off that Drake fight. And what potentially could have been maybe getting control of the mid wave, right? And then also allowing Flandre to push on this top side kind of turns into GenG being able to shove this wave in mid, getting the kill, getting the Drake, and being able to completely reset on the map.
And if you thought that that ultimate from Ruler did damage, now it's an Infernal Rift, so we are going to be looking towards an Infernal Soul. Now AL, when it comes to the gold, still barely behind. It's more so about the fight they might be forced into, because I think as strong as this composition is, looking at what they have, right, there is so much AoE CC, but you do need to be able to actually get onto the objective, to get onto the river. And GenG, if they are the ones, and you have to walk through the choke point to get to them, it gets really hard. If GenG ever has to try and get through a choke, obviously, they won't be able to do so.
It's also, like, who is tanky enough on anyone's Legend to survive through Ruler autoing them a few times?
Yeah.
Like, you have a double haunting guy, Shanks, Tarzan has Sundered Skyburst, Flandre is never going to be tanky on this Smolder.
And we've seen so many great Caitlyn performances. A lot of them have come off, again, these invades. We still remember On's insane Elise performance that set up Elk on that pick as well. However, one thing I also want to point out is this Smolder stack timing. Now that we are just past 14 minutes, Flandre is at 125. Like, this is the exact average, 14.54 for the 125. So he's slightly ahead in terms of split 2 and MSI combined.
And I do think that if Flandre reaches that point, target selection for GenG is actually pretty tough, right? Because unless they get a flank, they don't really have great engage. It's really more about the poke that they can set up, the area control, and unless Keen somehow finds a way onto that Smolder, outside of Canyon jumping in or Chovy finding some crazy chains, it should be relatively easy for AL to then sit back and just poke with that Smolder Q.
Helps with clearing out the wolves that Canyon will be summoning as well with the Super Scorcher Breath. They're still trying to stack up. I think the average 225 is about 23 minutes,
yep.
if I remember correctly.
22.59.
Just short of it. So Flandre, now that he's hit that 125 mark, is going to be able to farm up these waves a little bit quicker. That's
going to be right about if GenG get the next Drake when we're at the soul fight. So that is going to be... might end up being what the game revolves around. AL, though, setting up this objective.
Shanks is heading up from mid.
Canyon trying to get in for the steal. There's the eye there for him as well. Could use that with the smite. Tarzan will secure it. Pop Blossom on the backline. Ruler with a cleanse, but he's caught by the Strangled Thorns. The engage as well with a flash taunt. Keen getting chased away by Flandre. But he will manage to survive. If held picked up by anyone's Legend.
And Chovy had TP but didn't want to use it, so instead AL get everything they wanted, as well as the sums of the bot lane of GenG.
Yeah, the sums, and Shanks just barely missed in catching Ruler as well on the backside of that fight, but now they're just going to pop this Herald in the mid lane, get extra damage on this mid turret, and take down this Crab on the top side.
And with those sums not being available, Duro in particular is so susceptible to Tarzan as GenG is looking to fight.
Tarzan's being really greedy here. Chovy has stolen away the Cataclysm, but a good make it rain from Hope will slow them down enough. Tarzan going back in towards Chovy. The flank position as well from Shanks is not the best. He's knocked back and taken out. GenG claimed the Field of Warfare. Cataclysm flashed away by Hope as well. As in the end, AO just a little bit too greedy staying around for that Skull Crab.
A little bit too greedy for the Crab. Chovy ends up getting that J4 ult too off of Tarzan, which is huge. Hope ends up having to blow his flash, which is going to be big for the next time they have to fight. Again, these little incremental advantages that GenG are getting both on the map and in these fights are crucial.
Gotta say though, going to the next fight, AL will still be able to contest, and without the summoners on both the bot laners for GenG, the value of that Cataclysm becomes so much higher, right? There are, as we've highlighted, so many circles for AL that you gotta deal with. There is both Kyle, Shanks, as well as Tarzan that are going to be looking to get access to that backline, and while the front end of GenG can easily deal with it, if Duro ever gets clipped by any of those, he just ends up going down, and you can see GenG, They do have prio, as would be expected. They want to get this soul point right here, right now.
Chovy with a teleport on the top side, whereas Shanks does not have one. So Gen.G will have a man advantage if this fight begins. The hero's entrance stolen away as well gives some more protection to Ruler and Juro if they're jumped on. Shapesplitter goes forward, spots it out. Looks like Chovy's actually going to be stopped by Shanks. He's TPing behind them right now. Shanks on his way down, has that hero's entrance. The dragon down to 5,000 HP.
Will be spotted.
TP coming across, as you say, Chovy spotted. Shanks looking for it. Tarzan goes in. There's a hero's entrance. Cataclysm mob, and that's the wombo combo that anyone's legends were looking for. Keen goes all out, dashes forward onto Hope, and will get the kill. He'll fall forward. Good on Tofus with a 3-man knockup, but only Canyon and Chovy stay standing.
Really, really nicely done from AL, and you see the power of these ultimates when they're combined. They see Chovy coming in on the flank, and that is the go button, right? As soon as Shanks is able to go in, they end up cleaning up that Drake, and that's huge. They stop this early Drake stacking from Gen.G.
It's also, as we kept saying, it's both Ruler and Duro getting caught. They don't have a way out of this. The CC and damage train is beautiful, and despite Keen getting a kill on the back end here, it just doesn't matter because they're two damage, or one of the damages, one of the characters that allows him to just sustain throughout the fight, absorb that damage, isn't there. That's a really big win. Allows you to maybe hit that possible smaller break point, and the gold lead now in favor of AL.
Yeah, and this is also what we talked about with this AL composition and having these two massive damage dealers, right? And you not only have to worry about getting onto Hope, but you also have to worry about getting onto Flandra, who was actually the person who ended up doing the most damage in that team fight for anyone's legend.
You can see what the wombo combo does, though. Like 223 damage combined from the Caitlyn, who was 1,000 gold ahead, and the Karma as well. It's exactly what anyone's legends want to do in these team fights. With Gen.G now having their summoners on the way back up, it is going to be harder, obviously, for them to do it, but anyone's legends will just be happy that they've delayed the game a little bit, have stopped that soul stacking. Chovy getting chunked out by Shanks, who uses the phase rush to dodge his way away.
And that delay is huge because, again, it allows Flandra to creep ever closer to this 225 smolder stack point that we're all incredibly familiar with. And it just allows them to kind of reset and not give Gen.G as much control over this map.
That said, I do think as we get to the really late stages of the game, everyone else on Gen.G feels a lot better than their counterparts, and it will just revolve around Flandra, right? Because a Caitlyn on multiple items, a Sylas that has the both an incredible amount of AP as well as ability haste, and Neferi as well as Cassante in those fights, I think you're going to be feeling good about as possible picks.
Chovy goes in, they're going to go for the fight, the flash away, but there's the Cataclysm for the follow-up. The taunt comes out and Chovy is locked in the pit. He'll fall. Gen.G start up the Atakan. I really can't do this.
Yeah, they can't, not with that pick onto Chovy in the side lane. And again, nicely done from AL, recognizing that Gen.G want to start up that Anakan, want to leverage the pressure of Chovy in this side lane, immediately finding that pick onto him.
Canyon's going to jump the wall here. They're going to look for Flandre if they can find him. Canyon eviscerates across. Flandre is going to flash underneath the tower. The Hound's Pursuit coming out, and Flandre is still very healthy. Does have to burn that flash to get away.
But they also get Keen's flash. I think he was looking for more. If you're able to get the ult off before the flash, you can still drag him back, kind of get the snap back there, but they're not able to find it. Flandre not having his flash available is nice, but still think AL are feeling great about the position that they're in as Gen.G maybe looking to again start up this Atakan, but with this many people in the area, don't think that it's going to be anything more than a feint.
Yeah, they'll get spotted out.
I think for anyone's legend, the only thing you're ruining in this early game is the fact that Tarzan's the one that's got all the kills. 4-0-1 on this Jarvan. Does have a 1.5k gold lead, but obviously Jarvan, as the game goes on, falls off a little bit. Chovy caught out again as Flandre is looking for the chase. He can just dash across the wall. There's the Cataclysm, though, in from Tarzan. Hero's entrance there for the follow-up, and Chovy has no flash to escape. Hope takes the kill. Chovy falls for the second time this game.
And Chovy has had a relatively muted series, but in this game, he's straight up just getting targeted down by his ex-teammate. Back-to-back plays now from Tarzan, picking off, and there is no cross-map available for Gen.G on the other end.
Small consolation prize. They were actually able to take out that tier 1 in the top side, right? So that will be good for Gen.G. Again, if you get this Caitlyn up against a turret, she's just going to take it down so quickly.
Ruler also now with the IE finished. Once that third item comes in, the Caitlyn is only become a bigger problem. They have a good amount of damage here. It looks like AL, people are on the way, but I don't know if they're really in position right now. Not that much damage just yet, but with the TP from Chovy.
Yeah, Flandre could TP up towards this, but I really don't think he's going to. He's running down towards bot side. AL yet to contest it. It's down to 8,000. Yeah, I think it's just gone. Good call from Gen.G to sneak this one away. Pings come out from Tarzan as he spots that this is happening, but he can't get in range to get the smite off, and Gen.G pull off a heist.
Great recognition of the fact that AL are kind of resetting on this map, right? Really nicely done from Gen.G. That is a big counter punch that, again, is now going to delay the game a little bit in their favor after Chovy gets caught out.
That's the stacks right there for Flandre. 235 hit. And AL must have thought that Gen.G were going to overload the bottom half of the map to fight for this dragon. Gen.G catching them off guard, but it's AL that have control of the river. Look at Flandre. His damage, I think, going to be pivotal in these fights.
Doesn't have flash, though. Nor does Keen, nor does Chovy. Everyone else on the map has that summoner available. Keen has snuck into this bush, but AL begin to wrest control back in their favors. Keen knocked into the wall. Ace in the hole is going to hit onto Hope. The taunt going out onto that Cassante. Canyon almost jumped on by Tarzan, but good eviscerate will get him away. Keen has TP, so he can base and get back into the action.
As we see, clearing out vision.
Oh, there's the TP.
Right back in.
That's aggressive.
Keen, Pop Blossom onto Ruler. Tarzan there for the follow-up. Cataclysm coming in, the hero's entrance, stolen away by Chovy. Will keep Ruler alive. Keen goes in with the all-out, pulling Tarzan back into the team. Canyon looking for the flank onto Flandre. He'll go in with the hands, but Super Keen's already dead. Juro low as well. The hero's entrance countered by Shanks as he dashes forward. Chovy down, Ruler and Juro and Canyon, the only 3 left alive.
And Canyon was waiting, but to what end? AL, they weren't thinking about going back. Flandre not looking to retreat to the safety of his jungle. Instead, they were just playing forward.
And even when he did end up going on to Flandre, Shanks is there to help protect him, right? Which is absolutely massive from him as we see how this fight started with the TP coming in and Kyle with a Pop Blossom right onto Ruler.
And they are able to keep Ruler alive for a decent amount, but it's the decision of Canyon to stay in the brush. I think looking maybe for an angle on Flandre, but Keen, he's not that tanky. So without any threat, the rest of AL just pushes onto the enemy backline.
Means a lot to anyone's legend, obviously. It's not an elimination series, but taking out the LCK #1 seed would be huge for AL. For Gen.G, still only a couple of good team fights away from taking this series, getting back into control. What AL are doing really well is stopping Ruler from actually being able to have any impact in the fights. Like, even if he avoids the first engage, there's then Jarvan EQ again. There's Kyle going in with a Pop Blossom. There's a Cataclysm. There's Shanks. There's so many tools for anyone's legend, and there's not enough damage on the rest of Gen.G to really be a threat.
And by contrast, I think Shanks on this Galio has done a really good job of helping protect. Again, you saw it in that fight on the back half of it when they tried to get onto Flandre. And that's absolutely massive. Not only having 2 damage dealers that you really have to target, but also the power of Galio to protect him.
He's also gone for a very aggressive build, right? Like, it's not the Hollow Radiance that we so often see. It's Leandris, Riftmaker as well. So he is a actual threat to the backline. And Chovy just now hitting the 10 stacks. Riftmaker as well, but he's been unable to have an impact in this game on a pick that normally we see him do a lot. And if there's no mid laner, Canyon isn't in the fight, and Ruler is taken out. As you highlighted, there just isn't enough damage, and the faith in Flandre as well hasn't died this game. Been, I think, having great positioning in the fights as well. Thus far has paid off for AL as Keen.
Should be able to get away from this one. Goes all out onto Shanks. He's going to knock back. He's taken out immediately by Flandre. Mum comes in. There's the all-out, in fact, as the Cataclysm comes out onto Ruler. Hero's entrance with follow-up. There's a Pop Blossom as well, and AL are not done with this fight yet. Canyon trying to escape. Chovy so late on the TP, but Canyon's already down, and there's a Baron available for AL.
This Smolder pick from Flandra is absolutely showing up massively. I think I owe him an apology. I think you owe him an apology as well.
Yeah, you're in the clear. It's all on me here, Emily, as AL looking to take Baron and bring us to the promised game number... Well, actually, he didn't promise, but game number 5!
The game number 5 I wanted, but didn't promise.
I think we all wanted it.
I mean, these are two really good teams. It's been amazing to watch them trade blow for blow, especially in this game. Here, Keen tries to go all out. Shanks, again, this combination of Shanks and Flandra with the rest of AL coming up. Pop Blossom gets right onto Ruler, and once Ruler is out, it takes out so much of their damage.
The biggest thing is that it's so obvious that Gen.G wasn't ready for everyone to be there, right? Like the fact that out of nowhere, Kel shows up, gets the CC onto the backline, and Gen.G, we're now gotten to the point where they need a crazy Hail Mary, something insane to happen for them to deny AL the game number 5, 2 Drakes. The third Drake certainly with the Rebel Burn probably still going on for 2 more minutes, going to AL, and that is 3 Infernal Drakes with the possibility of Assault, if the game even lasts that long, because these fights, very one-sided.
Over an 8,000 gold lead for anyone's Legend. Almost 300 stacks as well on the Smolder. Obviously 225 is the mark that we always talk about, but the damage increases the more stacks you get on that champion. Tarzan and Hope just stealing away as much of this jungle as possible, and Gen.G have to retreat. Their jungle is not their own anymore. They do have 2 items on Chovy, 3 items on Ruler. Canyon is strong, you know, Black Cleaver, Spear of Sojourn is a lot, but they are just all so far in the hole when you look at their respective counterparts on AL.
He's strong, but this Nefiri pick has not been able to have the impact that Gen.G would have wanted. By contrast, Tarzan has absolutely controlled the pace of this game, as we see the siege potential of this team coming out from both Hope and Flandra here. Shanks cleaning up that tier 2 in the mid. And they're just going to kind of go back and forth between these lanes.
Anyone's Legends are just walking. They're just walking menacingly at Gen.G, and they're having to retreat. Flandre looking for the inhibitor here down towards the bottom side. Will be able to secure it with the Baron buff up for another wave. AL could go for double inhib off this push. Drake is up now.
And AL could even be looking if they get a pick or 2 for the end there with the Baron buff. Still on for a little bit longer. TP comes in. They want to keep this pressure going.
Using the Shape Splitter as well to eat those Cupcake. The Yordle Snapchat. Chovy goes in. Pop Blossom is going to land here as entrance there for the follow-up. But the bullet time! Hope Untouched just melts through Gen.G. Ruler and Juro, the only 2 left alive here. AL, do they have the waves to push in?
I think they do. They're going to try. They have a Grubs. So I think they have it.
They have the Grubs, but the backdoor bonus, I think that cannon minion is too far away, so that tower actually gets a bit tankier. There's a wave coming in bot side, and it should be there in time. Still 30 seconds before any reinforcements arrive for Gen.G. Anyone's Legends strike back in game 4 and will take us to Silver Scrapes.